we have to talk about they don't just have this option to continue their reign. JD Sharpe was on Stu Peters today. I was just watching it before we started our stream. And he said that basically what happened with McCarthy could be seen as treason because there are insiders that said he stepped down specifically to get a Democrat in that seat so the Democrats could take the Senate in 2024. So that means if they got the House and the Senate, they could therefore just vote to say, yeah, we're going to go to war with Russia. That starts the World War, and instantly there is no election.
Yep.
So when they say we have to use every option that's available to keep Trump out of office, I believe that this is one of the options that they are possibly talking about. And because that it's now illegal, it's legal for, the people that are House of Representatives to trade. We need to start looking at all of the people who have stocks, right, with Raytheon, with Boeing, with all of the big weapon producers, and start to call them out on it, because ultimately war would be good for their pockets and for these weapons producers, of course, you know what I mean? So this is possibly the scariest solution to them continuing their reign in the House, because if we go to war, this is going to do a number on our country. It is not what we want right now. Russia right now is spending 40% of their GDP to continue the war with Ukraine, and Ukraine is a small country compared to Russia, right? So just imagine what it would do to us if we went to war with Russia. Just imagine how much of our GDP we'd have to use. And you also have to look at, well, we talk about the shipping containers, right? All of the freight that's coming on ship is having to take a different route. Instead of going through the Red Sea, which is between which is basically between Europe and the Middle East, they're going up top, which is between Africa and the Middle East, which takes an extra 3 weeks, right? So those prices have not those prices haven't reared their ugly heads yet, right? But within the next month or two, we're going to start to see these prices go up even higher than they are now, because these companies have to spend extra money to get these resources here that we buy on a regular basis. We are not we are a consumer nation. We no longer make the goods. We just buy them and import them, and we ship them out on freight. So not only will we have to pay higher prices for everything else, but we'll pay a higher price by, I don't know, new taxes maybe to fund the war, or, a hike in every single thing that we do, from fuel to everything. When you have a war, the first thing that is affected is supply and demand, bro. Especially when it comes to fuel. I do not want to see the gas and the fuel prices for diesel if we go to war with Russia. This is definitely something that we don't want. And to think that our country would rather lose human life and demolish our GDP as a country even more just to maintain power, it really, that is worrisome. And I have it's a healthy fear. I really have a healthy fear of our country going into war, bro. Like
big time.
You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. Like, this is going to affect us all. And these are one of these things where we have to say, forget being Republican or Democrat. Like, I'm an American. Like Raven Simone said, right? I don't want to be labeled as something that, like, I'm an American. Before I'm black, before I'm African. Yeah, I don't know none of them that African shit. Like, I don't know where none of them people. I don't know none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go back to slavery, you're not going to be able to trace any further than that, because our families were split up and being sold to other places in the country. So as far as genealogy like that, shit is a farce. Like, you're not going to be able to go further back than that, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you have people that are family that live in Africa right now to say, yeah, you come from this lineage, right? So I'm an American. So this is something that we're going to have to like forget drawing this line. Like, this line needs to disappear, and we need to come together and say, we do not want a war with no country right now.
We believe in freedom. We believe in non-interventionism. We believe in peace. We believe in American values, and it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or if you're, Jewish or Christian or white or black or brown or yellow or turquoise, maybe even magenta. None of it matters.
It does not matter, bro. We do not want a war right now. Like we don't. That's not what we want for the country right now. But yeah, like I think you found a clip, bro.
Oh yeah, like you were saying about how they're willing to, by any and all means, prevent Trump from winning. I think that includes activating sleeper cells that the Democrats have planted within the Republican offices. Like
they're
elected politicians.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know if this is a fact, but there was a tweet today Twitter's done. It's dead. There was a post. There was a post on X where a lady said that her husband is a gun shop owner where, he sells, goods that has to do with anything with firearms. And she said that he was notified that there was like a new loophole that they put into the federal background checks for firearms that makes it okay for immigrants to own guns because they are making it okay in Chicago and California for immigrants to also become police officers. These are not people who have got these are not like people who have citizenship yet, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, I don't know how true that is, but that's kind of scary. And I actually have that tweet, but after we view this video, we could go to that actual post on X.
Yeah, sounds
Keep
good.
On saying tweet.
I know. It's like ingrained in my brain after so many years. I always hated Twitter too. Like the way it takes people. Oh, you got something to say? Oh, you're muted. Here you go. Won't let me unmute you. Oh, all right. Okay. I understand what you mean now. You're, yeah. Cora Davis pointing out, in addition to the sleeper cells that they have in offices, they've got sleepers coming across the border implanted. And Ed, yes, they are not elected; they're installed. In a lot of cases, that's the way it seems like it is being perpetrated against us. That is for sure, my friend. So let's check out. This is J.D. Sharpe a week ago talking about the same situation that he was on with Stu Peters talking about. Stu Peters, if you guys aren't aware, has been doing great work. He's exposing a lot of the stuff we're not allowed to talk about on FuckTube. So check out his channel for more information about all that stuff.
You need to understand why Kevin McCarthy resigning from Congress at the end of the year is such a massive deal. Also, think about George Santos, who was just expelled in a very Democrat district. Kevin McCarthy, the exact same thing. There is a plan here. And the rhinos, the Republicans in name only, the controlled opposition like Kevin McCarthy, who Nancy Pelosi has controlled since day one in Congress for him. And their plan is to not go down swinging. Rhinos are being removed from the party one by one. Everybody knows that. Look at Mitt Romney, for example. Look at Patrick McHenry, possibly Speaker Mike Johnson, if he keeps doing what he's doing. But the rhinos are being controlled by the Democrats, and they have a plan. And that plan is to give Congress, give the House back to Democrats so they control the Senate and the House.
Scumbags.
After they have that control, which should be in probably early 2024. Because again, in these special elections, we're going to lose the special elections. There's gerrymandering going on in New York. The districts themselves are very, very blue. They're in states where voter fraud is not difficult at all. The laws are in place to make it happen. But once Democrats get Congress back, we've seen the new swing state polls with Joe Biden down at least 2 points in every single swing state out of the 7. Trump wins 2 of those. We win the election. They need the election not to happen. And the way they do that is when they take over Congress. They declare war against Russia. They use that war, that full-on war, and possibly a false flag, backs it up, some type of psyop to get the country behind the war itself. But they use that war to cancel the 2024 presidential election. And how do I know this? Look what's happening in Ukraine. Look what NATO is saying, where Russia wants to take over all of Europe. That is patently false. NATO exists for the sole purpose of nobody attacking those countries because they'll get ganged up on by 32 plus countries. Russia knows that. Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, a couple weeks ago, apparently he told members of Congress that he was going to send their children to war. Joe Biden is very much backing everything that's going on in Ukraine right now. There is a goal that is being pushed through mainstream media, pushed through politicians, pushed through establishment information outlets that are solely in place to manipulate you. Once Democrats get Congress back, they will declare war against Russia almost immediately. I understand Congress has not declared war since 1942.
Yes.
But this election is the most important election of our lifetimes. And everybody on both sides knows this. So what McCarthy did, in my opinion, is treason. And I fully expect one or two more Republicans in the exact same spot to do the same thing, to be up for special election. Those seats will be won by Democrats. They will control Congress, and they will put us at war with Russia, which they will then use to cancel the 2024 election.
I'm muted. I'm talking over here. Yeah, sounds about right to me. Activating the sleeper cells on the right, giving over control of the Congress to the left, putting us into war, canceling the election, and it's a criminal agenda, basically. I don't know if treason would apply, because in order for treason to actually happen, I believe you have to have a declaration of war against a foreign nation, and then somebody has to willingly help that nation. So if we don't have a declaration of official war, I don't know if it can be treason technically, according to what Robert Barnes was saying recently on Viva and Barnes. But I mean, goddamn, it's basically treason, just minus the declaration of war. The whole declaration of war thing is nuts too. We haven't declared war since World War II. And yet we've gone to Vietnam, we've gone to Korea, we've gone to Iraq and Afghanistan and all over the freaking planet. And for instance, instead of following what the Constitution mandates, that the Congress must vote to declare war, Congress instead just voted to delegate that authority to President Bush, for instance, in the early 2000s, and let him unilaterally declare war in the Middle East, a blatant violation, flagrant violation of the law and of the Constitution, just flaunting it in our faces. It makes me